Good afternoon, members, and to the viewing public. We are back from our recess from this morning, and we shall continue with the dialogue with folks from Department of Finance, as well as OMB and the OGM office. So the chair would like to start now, Madam Secretary, just going back to the 5.7 funding from the OIA grants. You have mentioned that the administration had received already 412K. So my question will be, when is the next allocation expected out of this 5.7 OIA grants?
The next monthly award is expected once the OIA is able to authorize it. So pending the shutdown, they will give us notice. We are expecting it on a monthly. However, no assurance has been given because of the shutdown.
Okay, so with that expected allocation on the next month, do you happen to know where are those funds will be dedicated to? What agencies?
Yes.
Can you please indulge?
Do you want me to give you the monthly or the 5.7?
Yeah.
The 5.7, so you can see the total. So the Department of Finance is awarded for this 5.7 for the use of the financial system and IT infrastructure, 624.9. The Health Network Program, 1.4. Government Utilities, 833,000. Department of Corrections, 162.6 thousand for inmate care. Then Government Operations for Fuel, 249.9 thousand. And for Communications and Supplies, 200,000. And then the retirees, 25% pension benefits, 2.1 million.
And with regards to the 25% for the retirees, this 2.1 million can bring us to how long? How long can we stretch that 2.1 million?
9 pay periods, or no? Just the 2.1. One moment.
And while you're looking at that, can we also add the 2.7 from the settlement court ruling and kind of gauge how long can the administration last with both source of funding?
For the amount awarded for the 25% pension benefits of 2.1 million, that would last 3 pay periods, 3.8 pay periods.
And the 2.7 from the court?
The 2.7 is already appropriated, right, under the casino GRT, which is being used currently for the retirees starting October 15. So that 2.7 million.
Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah, it's about 5 pay periods. We set aside about 540,000 a pay period to anticipate any death benefits, including on top of the pension.
So fairly, we can say those amount would be good for the first quarter, at least.
For the first 8 to 9 pay periods, depending again on the actual amount.
Okay. Thank you for the response. Let me shift my next question to if you can give us the pending balances for the bond payments of 2007 Series A and Series B. What is that figures right now looking like?
I will list that down as an official request. So just to clarify, you want the fiscal year payment?
The
for the
total pending remaining balances that to get all these bond payments paid off.
So the total liability?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let it be an official request by this joint committee, as well as the Bank of Guam loan too as well, please. Okay, thank you for that. And Chairman, I yield to you.
Representative Marisa, I'm good. I'll yield back to you. Representative Marisa has a question.
Recognize Representative Marisa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. So I hope you had a good lunch, everybody. I guess we're going to be a little bit more calm. I had 3 cups of corn soup, so I should be good. Anyway, so we noticed that we're getting, obviously, the settlement fund is the biggest part of our obligation, unfunded obligation for the record. So we know that in December 31, 2025, 15% is due, MAP, right? MAP, 15% is due on December 31st, 2025. Is that correct?
For the first quarterly, yes.
Yes, and that is in the amount of 4.35 million, is that right?
Yes.
And that's part of this money is to pay into this prior to December 31st, 2025, is that correct?
Yeah, that's required.
Okay, so in March 31st, 2026, 35% of the 29 million on the map is due. That totals 10.15 million. Okay. Do you anticipate to meet that obligation in March?
Right now, it is currently included in the budget, and so it is a priority on our general fund collections.
Assuming that we don't collect 10.15 million, then what?
We would have to notify the trustee that we are unable to make payment, and we would probably have a hearing with Judge Taidinko.
With that, okay, and then on the third quarter, which is June 30, 2026, that is assuming that's where you're gonna collect all of the income tax, is that correct? Is that the season in which you guys start collecting all the income tax and all that wonderful stuff for that particular period?
BGRT is included as an
Okay.
income tax category. We collect that monthly.
Okay.
The wage and salary tax, we collect that quarterly. And then during the second quarter is where tax season, right, the deadline for personal, NMTIT, and corporate. So, yeah. it
Okay,
would be
so
in
the
second quarter.
35%, which is due in March 31st of 2026 in the amount of 10.15 million, that is where you see the highest because all of the taxes, filing of taxes are supposed to be filed, correct? Is that why that
Normally,
amount
the
is very
trend.
big?
Yeah, normally the trend is second quarter, yes.
Okay, got
There's
it.
a higher collection.
So then that, I'm assuming, since your forecast is already big on the income tax, the BGR and all of this stuff, you might meet it. Assuming, that's the assumption, right? Because that's the season where everybody's filing their taxes and that's the bracket. So in June 30 of 2026, we are expected to pay the settlement fund 20% of the MAP, which totals 5.8 million. Is that also included in your budget?
The entire 29 million is included in the current budget, so we are mandated to pay that amount by the end of the quarter. However, we have worked out a payment schedule with the trustee that we pay it on a weekly, so we don't even wait until
Okay.
by the end.
All right, so if we pay it on a weekly basis, right, the assumption is, let's not take it on a weekly basis because that's just going to get very complicated. So here's my question. If we already know by the settlement calendar that we need 29 million, but we have the dates by quarter, right? And you know how much you anticipate to collect, let's say in March. Why do we have to go into the whole 29 million now? And why can't you just pay? Just pay it. on the dates where it's due and start saving? And you don't have to answer that question because I'm going to ask you another question. And maybe I'm ignorant to this, but the covenant does say that we get all these monies in 702 and 703, but none of that can be used for retirement. Am I right or am I wrong?
Are you asking about 702?
702, 703, A, B, can we use any of that money?
Right now, the 702 funds are only for infrastructure projects.
Okay.
So again, there are specific uses for those funds, and that does not include operations.
As the Secretary of Finance, do you think it's in the best interest of the CNMI government to take out another loan in 29 million as a whole, knowing that the dates and the anticipated numbers that are expected to be forwarded to settlement? Do you believe in the fiduciary responsibility and the oath that you took to protect the Commonwealth and the Constitution? Do you believe it is in your best interest that we take this loan, margin loan for that matter? Do you believe it's in the best interest?
Again, as the Secretary of Finance, I can only act based on what is authorized by law. And so if you were to ask me, the first question I would ask myself is it authorized by law? And so, yes, it has been authorized to pursue a $29 million loan for the purpose that this body has specified. So in terms of carrying out that legislation, we provided 2 budget scenarios for your consideration and the potential impact to whether we pursue with the loan or we don't.
Okay.
So in my capacity as Secretary of Finance, I can't move unless there is statutory authority.
So you gave us 2 scenarios, but you didn't answer my question. Do you think it's in the best interest of the CNMI government to take out another loan? Because I'll tell you this much, the generations after us is going to be paying for this at some point, right? If we cannot meet the obligation. Do you think it's in the best interest of the government as the Secretary of Finance to take out a loan in whole? Can we take it in parts? I mean, I'm asking your expertise here. Do you recommend we take it all out one time, or can we do it in piecemeals? I mean, let me know how you feel.
In my personal opinion, there are significant impacts if we don't take out this pension loan, and that impact is provided in the 2 scenarios
Okay.
that the governor has submitted.
Okay.
However, there are requirements by the NPLT trustees that
Okay.
we must meet in order to secure the loan.
Okay.
Whether that, how they pursue and close and secure that loan, the prudent action is on the MPLT trustees,
All right.
right?
Okay, close enough. Now, as the Secretary of Finance, are all the obligations that's supposed to be forwarded to the settlement fund have been paid in full? Are there any agencies, commissions, institutions within the CNMI government that still owe the retirement or the settlement fund to date?
Are there still, you're asking, are there still receivables from other component units to the
Yeah.
retirement fund? I believe so.
Okay, and will you tell me who those are?
I don't have that report on me right now, but I do know that our NMIRF staff has provided that before, and we can ask, I can ask her to send that again.
All right, let's start with CUC. They owe you, or the settlement fund, as of August 2025, $3.4 million and change. Are you going to collect that anytime soon? Because we could surely use it, right, to pay into the 29 million loan that they're asking of us to take out? And that can be applied maybe to March or now?
In terms of collectability, I would urge you to sit in the board meeting with CUC because their CFO did provide very concerning news on their financial condition. So to answer your question, I don't think that they will be paying that over anytime soon, because even just trying to come to an agreement with a MOA for utilities alone has been very difficult. And we all know that CUC is also struggling financially, and so we are trying to do our best to meet both responsibilities of CUC and for the CNMI. So that continues to be a receivable. However, we don't see that being collectible anytime soon.
It seems to me that everybody else is suffering when people and institutions, commissions, agencies, semi-autonomous agencies that owe the settlement fund and don't pay, but everyone else is expected to pay. I don't think that's fair. And shouldn't you seek remedies to figure out how you're going to collect this? Surely, maybe they can take some of it out of the FAC without even imposing any more fees to the ratepayer, right? How do you suppose you're going to collect this as the Secretary of Finance? It doesn't really matter if they're a semi-autonomous. You are the Secretary of Finance.
Again, when we are in discussions with CUC leadership, their executive director, their CFO, we don't just look at one particular receivable. We look at everything, and we look at what is the most reasonable way to move forward. And right now, everything matters, right? Every dollar matters.
Yes, it
does. Right now,
does.
our priorities have been set on utilities because that is severely underfunded. And so our efforts, both us and CUC, have been directed towards how can we secure some kind of credit for utilities in terms of them paying their other outstanding payables to us, because they still have additional amounts that are owed to us from the OPA fee, but that was not included in our MOU because they are unable to go without that cash, right? So again, it's a very difficult situation, and it will continue to stay on the books until such time we can find a solution. But right now, realistically, we're not able to move forward with that because we're prioritizing utilities.
Okay, so here's my next question. How much in receivables is owed to the CNMI government in totality?
I can get that information from right now we have the FY22 financial statement, so that I can provide that.
If you can, Chairman, for the record, if we can get that, please.
Let that be an
Okay.
official request by this joint committee.
All right. So, and then I would also recommend that you look into the commissions. There's several commissions that owe you money. Or not you, but the settlement. So please take a look at that. And then on this budget, you also have, I wanted to ask, because you have two scenarios. So scenario one is the hours are at 70 hours, is that right? Cut to 70 hours, okay. And we have paid holidays, is that correct? And we don't see any RIF or reduction in force, or that's it, right? No reduction in force. Everyone is status quo, but cut 10 hours from the payroll period.
Cut 10 hours for scenario one, but we
Yes.
also took into consideration the removal of
33.
the vacancies that were not filled
300
and the 33 that had on their record.
Okay. Now, you mentioned in this scenario, which was provided, in scenario one, do you anticipate to hire any new hires? And before I finish that sentence, I'm talking about just contracts. Not NOPAs, not accepted service, but specialty contracts. Will you anticipate hiring anyone else on a contractual basis?
Without the positions available, the hiring authority needs to submit a request to the governor, who would then transmit a request to the legislature for a joint resolution to reinstate the position that's needed.
Okay, and I'm talking about contract, professional services. Do you anticipate to hire the executive branch, considering the economic times right now? Does the executive branch anticipate to hire professional service contracts within this period? Because I don't see it in scenario one. Do you? Yes or no? No?
We don't have any operations
Okay.
allocated under scenario one.
All right, so
no.
let's take a look at scenario one. Because in scenario one, you have the 3.6 million, and then you went ahead and attached this summary worksheet, okay? Now, under the Office of the Governor and Lieutenant Governor, you have a governor's holding account, which is identified under the organizational charge number as NEW, which is new. Is that included in the 2026 budget? Is that new because I'm hiring somebody? What is that? It says zero, but
It's there, it's zero, and even if the members of the legislature does not remove that, there's nothing we can do because the budget is, if there's funds allocated, even a dollar, that it gives the governor that authority. Governor has that authority to reprogram up to whatever his authority is allowed into that.
okay.
Because there's funding there that's allocated. Right now it's zero, so zero.
Okay, so we know that every year the legislature gives the governor up to 25% reprogramming authority. I'd just like to know what is this governor's holding account, because it's a new account. It wasn't in the fiscal year 2024 budget. It wasn't in the fiscal year 2023 budget. What does this account consist of? What can the governor use in this account that it's now identified here? What is it for?
So that was included in the FY 2025 submission, and there were, to correct myself on that, it was included in the FY 2026, and we asked for 100 NOPs, but at the rate of $1 to be able to remove all the other $1 NOPs in all the other different departments. However, that 100 NOPs, we ask also the legislature to just remove that
Okay.
because there's no purpose of carrying it forward with just $1.
Okay, so are you going to remove it if we get the 29 million? Is there a need for this governor's holding account if the $29 million loan is passed? Because it's zero and he does have 100% reprogramming authority. And scenario one suggests that we will now start paying or removing 10 hours from the executive branch pool of employees. Do you anticipate to remove that?
Right now, it won't do us any favor or any good because it's zero. So it's not even gonna work for the executive branch. It's zero.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll let him ask, but do I still have the floor after him?
Yes. Yes, she
Thank you.
does. Thank you, Chair.
Recognize Representative Yamo.
Thank you, Chair. So going back to that vacant account, is zero a number?
Zero is,
Is a number, right?
it's a number, but it's zero.
No, but, so, I'm a lawyer right now. So any number added to a zero is a number, like an amount. So it's not necessarily zero, meaning you cannot fund it because we put zero. I think if there's a zero in it, if I was an attorney, you can add a number to a zero and it becomes a number, a whole number.
First of all, I think, Congressman, I think there's a statute in the Commonwealth that if you're not an attorney, then you shouldn't be practicing an attorney. So zero is zero. We can't do anything with zero. So, by all means,
Okay, so figure
Mr. Chairman, you can remove that.
Yeah, so zero is a number because if you Google and zero give you a number. So any number you add to zero becomes another number. Zero plus one is what? One. It's not zero, unless it says multiplication. I'll leave it at that, Chair.
Yeah. Rep. Marisa, you
Thank
have
you.
the floor.
So let's go back, and again, I'm trying to tie all of this in on local funds because on the local side, we are really, like you said, in scenario 2 is a sacrifice to employees that will face a 58-hour work payroll, right? And in scenario 1, you have 70 hours. But that is on the condition that the $29 million marginalized loan is approved and accepted by MPLT. So I want to shift now and talk about external funds real quick. And in 701 of the covenant, we have, by the agreement of the covenant, monies that come to the Commonwealth, right? And in the 702, okay, $250,000 each year, and I just want to know where this money goes, okay? It says 702A, 8.25 million for budgetary support for government operations, of which 250,000 each year will be reserved for a special education training fund connected with the change in political status of the Northern Mariana Islands. So $250,000 each year is afforded or given to the Commonwealth. Is that a true statement? Based on the covenant? Yes?
The reading of the covenant, it was the situation at that time. There have been subsequent funding instruments that were approved by Congress after that. I believe the latest is in 2004, that no longer provides that level of funding to the CNMI, and which
Okay.
is why
Is it a new level? Is it more or less?
now it's competitive.
Oh, so we have to
against
apply
the-
for this?
Yes.
Okay,
against the
that's a
other
problem.
territories.
Did you guys talk about that on the last meeting that you went to when you were in Washington?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and do we see any potential external supports there? Because it's desperate. We're in a dire need of money right now. Was that discussed?
Yes.
Okay. And then on 702B, does the same apply? Did that change?
Yes, all those funding amounts and terms have changed in the subsequent funding agreement.
All right, so how much does the CNMI receive now on 702B each year? Saipan, because Tinian, I believe, I don't know if it's the same or different for Tinian and Rhoda.
If I'm not mistaken, the grant for the 702 program was 8.9 million, and 75% of that is allocated to Saipan,
Okay.
12.5% each to Tinian and Rhoda.
All right, so we're still doing that till now?
It all depends on
Depends.
how we submit our spending plan, because there is a requirement every year. OIA would issue out a budget call for the CIP allocation, and then the CIP program office would put that together, send it to the governor, and then the governor will either approve or disapprove, and then we send it off to OIA, and OIA will prepare the grant award.
All right, okay, so right now, we know that we have not received anything for last year. Let's just take in last year, for example, because it says each year.
We did receive for FY 2025,
Okay, and how much was that?
8.9 million.
Okay, and that was already distributed and everything spent?
Yes, it
Okay.
has been distributed.
Okay. And then 702C says 1.75 million, and this is also this change, correct? 1.75 million for Economic Development Loan Fund. I'm assuming EDLF, I don't know what that is. I know that it's now CDA, of which 500,000 each year will be reserved for small loans to farmers and fishermen and to agriculture and marine cooperatives, and of which 250,000 each year will be reserved for a special program of low-interest housing loans for low-income families. Has that changed?
That has changed.
And can you tell me what the change is so that we know now? Is it reserved? Do we have a reserved account for this? Yes or no?
No.
Have we received anything for 2025?
The only thing that we received for 2025 under the 702 program is for the CIP infrastructure, which includes the law enforcement allocation.
That was part of the 3 million that was just received?
Yes.
Okay, and that has been distributed already?
It has been distributed.
So DPS received their portion, DFEMS,
DPS, DFEMS, corrections, ABTC,
okay?
customs.
Can you break that down to me in the dollar amount, please?
Can you give me just a
Let
a
it be
few
an
minutes
official
to-
request for the
Okay.
joint committee.
I have
All right.
the information,
Okay.
but I just need to open it.
We'll get back to that until so if you can get it. And so, let's go now. And again, this is important for me because when you went to 902, right? We know that everybody was in an agreement that the economy is and the government is suffering right now. And we have to be all on the same page, which we are, that our economy is dying, therefore our revenue streams are negative everywhere. And until we have tourism or any kind of air support to give us new people, tourists, or we have investors coming in to throw us millions, hundred millions of dollars, we will continue to suffer at this pace moving forward. Is that correct? Because everything is revenue based, right? Our budget is dependent on revenue and the external is separate, right? So everything else for local funds is revenue based, including the settlement. Is that right? Is that correct?
In terms of the discussions in DC, yes, the CNMI team had put together a position paper that was shared with the OIA team, and that was since October of last year. So this has been an ongoing request for multiple areas that require discussion and that we revisit. However, the most recent 902 meeting did focus on the immediate cash needs because of our current budget crisis.
Okay.
And that what I do know is that we are coordinating a follow-up meeting to talk on the other areas that are needed in terms of transportation and visas
Okay.
and labor and all the
Right.
other areas.
Right.
While we work on the funding assistance.
Okay, so here's my question. The report provided to the president on the 902 consultations in January 2017, is that still accurate? Are a lot of the discussion points, was this presented to the president for Congress to approve, yes or no?
That was from a different team and
So
focused
nothing
on
here
different.
this
yeah,
is
a
dead,
new-
moot, nothing.
A new position paper was drafted, a new request for a meeting
Okay.
in October. However, that report was not submitted to the president.
Right. And then we have a report to the president, 902 consultation related to the DHS discretionary parole program. May 2019, accurate, inaccurate?
If that is a report that has been submitted to the president, I believe
Okay.
it was accurate of those meetings at
At
that
that time.
Yeah.
What is the current balance of the CW program special fund?
I don't have that information right now, but I can make the request to the staff.
All right, because that's important. So the last one, the position paper that we have, that was current, because we didn't see your position paper now. So what is current to me is the one that was submitted by the late Governor Palacios on October 11, 2024. Are the items on the position paper similar to the items that you have submitted on your position paper in 2025?
Yes, it is the same.
The same?
Yes.
Nothing changed?
No.
All right. So in this position paper, and this is talking about funding, Section 703, and he states in the position paper, and this is important, one of the most important tools available to the government of the CNMI provided in the covenant is to assist the CNMI government in stimulating and maintaining economic resources to operate its government, right? The cover over of federal taxes for the CNMI was mirrored
I'm
after
sorry,
the.
Mr. Chairman. I will have to request for executive session in order to discuss 902 position paper specific details, because this is an ongoing negotiation between the CNMI and OIA. And if this affects the budget in any way, I request to go into executive session.
Okay, I
Duly
wasn't
noted.
gonna ask
Rep.
you.
Marissa, can you continue on in your questions, and maybe we can do a sidebar with the secretary on that line of question?
Okay,
Please proceed.
all right, so he talks about taxes in this position paper, and you state that in the position paper, everything is either similar or the same. Is that correct?
Yes, I can
I've just-
state
let
that the
me-
position paper is the same from
Okay.
October. However, I cannot explain details. We cannot discuss
I'm not gonna ask you for
details.
details, Secretary. I just
Even,
wanna
even
know.
acknowledging, I would request for executive session where then I can answer your questions.
Can you proceed to? Do you want to go on recess and
Yeah,
discuss that?
can I request recess, please?
Recess.
Can I speak in native
Hold on, hold
language?
We are back in our joint committee session, and Rep. Marissa, you still have the floor.
Okay, So let me reshift. Thank you, Secretary, for pointing that out. We don't want to jeopardize our situation with our big brother. So can I shift over to OGM real quick? Chairman, I have the floor. Thank you. So, Chairman, I have the floor.
Please
Thank
proceed,
you.
Representative Marissa
Thank you,
Flores.
sir. I appreciate it. Mr. Epi, you spoke about monies that were coming into the Commonwealth, and you spoke about some of the barriers that you see in terms of drawdown and spending the money in which you have been awarded, okay? So, looking at this fiscal year 2026, how many active projects are ongoing right now?
For our office or for the entire government?
Shouldn't it be that it's the
I mean, like-
entire government? I mean, your OGM.
I mean, like I said, we have 110 projects under our wing. But overall, there's about 900 or 800 some accounts that is in munis, roughly, I think $1.679 billion of federal funds is in the munis account. So we did try our best. We did separate the accounts by like construction and programmatic and whatnot. But for the ongoing projects, I will still need more time to break it down.
Okay, so in terms of money collecting from the external funds, are there any more barriers that you see, and how can we improve so that we can expend this money and start drawing down immediately, sir?
I mean,
We're all trying to work together, so if we can improve the system,
yes.
let's figure it out.
Thank you. I mean, like every agency has their weaknesses, right, their strengths. But I mean, like a good example is like I know that procurement, not to throw procurement under the bus, but they're developing, they're getting better, they're progressing. I submitted a document in July. I just got it out yesterday for the purchase of bucket trucks, EB bucket trucks. So, I mean, I have to understand that they're new. Some of them, they need time, and we do follow up constantly, but I appreciate, and they just moved, right, to a different building because of a situation and incident. So, like our grantor said, you got to spend the money more quickly now because of Doge, and they're trying to take back every money possible, especially energy money.
Okay,
So if we can get more help, maybe add more people to procurement, add more funding, it'll help the whole government move, especially with construction. A lot of I know we're going to get into indirect costs soon, but we don't charge indirect costs on construction. That's why they're trying to push for the construction tax, so that way we can get money from because we don't charge indirect, we don't get indirect costs from construction projects.
okay.
So that's why our indirect cost is lowering down. It's decreasing because we don't collect from construction projects. And a lot of our projects right now are construction-based. Trump administration is pushing for many buildings, infrastructure projects. So that's why you see a decline in our indirect cost collections.
So, what is the timeline? You receive everything that she says she's doing. Secretary of Finance already has created a system and a procedure for the Department of Finance. How can you two figure out a way to, like, even just have 2-3 people just work on that so that you can start spending, getting approval for spending and drawing down?
Quite honestly, I believe that, I hope that the new money that comes in from OIA will, like, flow down into maybe procurement. In the past, we helped procurement get a grant. Nowadays, it's a lot of the shift is going to finance so they can prepare or fix the audit. So, but everything is connected, right? So
Okay.
we're hoping that finance will take the direction of maybe adding more staff to procurement. So,
Okay.
and treasury, so that we can draw down funds fast. We need more people in the federal section.
Okay, so, okay,
That's
go
my
ahead.
opinion. Okay.
So when you apply for these grants, do you include staff for finance?
Yes. For finance or for any grant?
I mean, if we're gonna utilize federal money to augment our short on local funds, wouldn't it be wise to lift the personnel on every grant that you are applying for?
That's possible. Yes, it's possible.
But you haven't done it?
I mean, like in the past, we've done it for procurement, and we, yes, through technical assistance program, the TAP, we did help with the federal section get a partial payment and it's a
Okay.
cost share to their
So,
salaries.
I think really moving forward, if we want our community to thrive, you have the opportunity, right? You're applying for these grants. These grants need staff, right? In areas, obviously, of finance, because your biggest bottleneck that you claim is procurement, is probably other areas. The system was procurement, HPO, finance, all of these people that you deal with, right? So wouldn't it make sense moving forward, Mr. Cabrera, on the grants that you do and that you're seeking to apply for moving forward, to start
Yes.
adding staff or even maybe adding additional percentages to finance, right? So that we can see a raise in these people that have been doing the same job, and unfortunately, civil service can't give them a raise, but they can at least offset from a percentage in which you are now applying for this grant to give them some additional money so they can take on the additional work.
Yes, and that is the purpose for indirect costs. So
So where's all the
the
indirect costs going then?
19-49 only allows OGM to collect 35%, while 65% is going to the general fund. So there was a bill that was, for
How
how
much did
many?
you say that percentage was?
35%
for
goes to OGM,
and then 69?
65% goes to the
65,
general
general
fund.
fund. Okay,
That's
stop right there.
after the collection of 7.5% off of each grant for the low
Okay.
rate. Yeah.
So
some
here's my
peop-
question
Go
to the
ahead.
Secretary of Finance. Since he claims 65% goes into the general fund, how much went into the general fund? Last year, cumulative, I don't know. All his grants, right? And then you said there's 110 grants with 800 projects? Is that what you said, Mr. Epi?
So to answer your question, in the Q4 report, the gross IDC collection was 2.2 million, and then less the earmark that went to OGM of 785,000. So if you offset that amount, the remainder went to the general fund. So that information is provided on the Q4 report.
Okay, so everyone pretty much is understaffed and overworked, right? Is that true? Is that a true statement?
Yes, and I'd like to add further clarification on the federal assistance that finance had been receiving. We had to request that in a technical assistance grant from OIA, which has expired, which is why they are no longer being funded under OGM. And now the priority of OIA is the single audit. So if they were to give us funds, it would be positions that are directly related to the single audit, not normal operations. Normal operations are expected to be coming out of the general fund. However, because of our current situation, we've cut out our FTEs because all vacancies have been removed. And so it puts us in a corner, very difficult corner, where we are expected to, you know, of course, provide for the community at the pace that everybody expects. However, we're not there with our budget. So again,
okay.
we made the request to
Okay.
OIA. They understand our situation. And should the TAP for the new fiscal year get awarded, that is part of the request, is to support these areas.
Okay, so we spoke about the 16 grants that the CNMI receive under the grants for artists under national endowment. they have a total of about 800,000 from September 30, 2026 that they need to spend before the end of the year. Can we spend that money? Because it seems that there are artisans that have yet to be paid. And what is the reason? And again, right, this is an example of there's the money, pay it down, pay the expenditure, draw. So what's the problem?
So the money gets awarded, however, you must follow the procurement regulations and the terms of the award. So specifically for the Arts Council, I've been in discussions with the Indigenous Affairs Office, Arts Council, on how to move forward in paying these artists. And my advice was you have to follow procurement regulations. There's just no way around that. So either declare them as a subrecipient and you monitor those awards, or they're a contractor, follow the procurement regs. Once that moves through, we can charge it to the grant and draw down the money. So that moves the burden of managing that grant to the grant manager.
Okay.
So we've provided them the method to spend the money. Now it's up to you to spend it correctly. And I think they're having some challenges in doing that.
What are
but
those?
That's really at the grant level.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a leadership position, it's a leadership responsibility. But you already have all the systems in place, the framework to show them, to direct them, to give them accessibility, to fill out whatever needs to be filled out so that they can spend this money, correct? All right. So now the burden falls on the leadership, okay? Would it be easier then, Secretary, if we just amend certain laws and just put in the framework for you?
The law's not needed because the framework exists. The procurement regs exist. I think it's a matter of implementation of their grant and understanding how to do that. We've explained how to do it. Now it's a matter of carrying it out.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask you a future question. Do you anticipate a good audit in 2026? Because you have all the systems in place. Assuming, because you already stated that it's now up to the leadership. And this is going to be important because next year we're going to have a budget hearing. Next year we're going to have an audit. Are you saying then, for the record, that the system is in place and that you will, or not you, but the Department of Finance and the executive branch, through its leadership, will have at least 90% clean audit?
Again, that is the hope. So if you understand the compliance audit, there are other categories other than procurement. There's reporting, there's monitoring, there's eligibility. So it goes to the program level. For example, for NAP benefits, they will ask you, where is the application for this NAP recipient? I want to see their application. I want to see all the supporting documents. So the audit is comprehensive, and again, it will depend on the performance of the program. But we do anticipate a better performance because the system in place is there, the method is there, the oversight and internal control is there, it's improving. And part of our requirement to clear the question costs is to have them produce the SOP so that we can clear this question cost.
All right.
Yeah, so yes, we
Okay,
do
good.
anticipate.
And I'm going to have my last questions. I don't think we answered that the last time before I yield my time. The audit for 2022 was just given to the news media that it showed the fiscal year 2022. Mind you, this is during the COVID period. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And you showed, and the audit reflected 250 some million in unauthorized expenditure. Is that correct?
Question costs.
Question
Yes.
cost. What does that mean exactly? Can you break it down to us?
A question cost is the auditor will determine a criteria and then test you against that criteria. And
Okay.
if you are not able to provide based on the samples and the sample selection that the auditor had pulled from these list of, let's say, applications or a list of checks that were issued and you're not able to produce the
Evidence.
application, then that's a questionable cost.
Okay.
Why did we pay that amount to this person? Were they even eligible for that payment? That's a
Okay.
question cost.
So, Does the Secretary of Finance or has the Secretary of Finance been in communication with the Attorney General's office to collect however we can collect this? Because I'm not sure. I didn't ask the question if it was against an agency. And was the agency then, are they gonna take the position of recouping the expense, unauthorized expense from the, I don't know, manager or whatever? But is there a system that you guys are designing to collect this money, yes or no? Is there communication
So
already?
there's a process
Okay.
after the audit is completed, and now it moves into the program managers to communicate with their grantors and get a determination either to reinstate those costs and say, yes, they are allowed, or the grantor will come back and say, no, you have insufficient evidence, and we will disallow these costs.
Okay.
Then that will move forward to U.S. Treasury for collection.
All right, so.
You had a question of whether I communicated this to the Attorney General's office. In anticipation of the release of the audit, I did communicate
Okay.
it to both OPA and OAG.
Okay.
Should they have any questions on these question costs that are in the audit, we stand ready to provide what the auditor was provided.
Wonderful. So when do you anticipate a question from the grantor or a letter from the grantor stating to the Commonwealth that these were not approved expenses or questionable expenses?
We think as soon as possible, as soon as they have a copy of the audit, we are already communicating to every major program to begin that communication process to get it cleared.
Okay, and so in the event that you get that letter, what happens when they say, we have to pay $50 million? Where are we gonna, who's gonna
We
pay
will
that?
inform the legislature that local funds are needed to cover that cost.
So that will be covered under unfunded liability once again?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. I yield my time.
Thank you, Representative Marisa Flores. Recognize Representative Humo. You still remember your question? That was a long.
Yeah, that was over.
I would appreciate if you
I
keep
forgot
the
between
jokes to
0
later.
and 30. No,
Recognize Humo.
just a follow-up with regarding the grants and the projects that Mr. Cabrera said. That you said construction projects, right? So in your projects, I guess you are also charging developers infrastructure tax on those projects under grants.
I'm not charging per se, it's just automatically they pay the tax, right?
It's embedded in that they pay,
Yes.
is that a true
The
statement?
BGRT and all
Secretary?
the developer's tax or the DPW permit fee, and it's all part of the fee that they bid on.
Okay. So the secretary's report, I haven't seen the fourth quarter. The third quarter, we only collected 344,000. Is that an accurate number from all the projects that's been going on? And have there been waivers issued out? Because for $300,000 to be collected, there's $13 million or supposedly at 2.5% approximately projects out there, but there's over $13 million of projects out there.
If, so your question was, have there been any waivers? That would be DPW to answer that question as they do the assessment on each project.
Okay.
And then the contractor would go and pay the developer's tax. In our Q4 report, we collected 461,000.
Is that
in-
additional or
Yeah,
to
you were
include
referring to
the-
the Q3.
Yeah,
So the
so you-
Q4 is what everybody has today. And that's an increase of 163% than what we had projected. So, yeah, it's showing that there are an increase in construction projects.
Okay.
The developer's tax is being assessed by DPW. Whether you don't think it's enough, I think that's a question for DPW to provide if they've made any waivers.
okay?
But we have exceeded our projection on that category.
So this is the total projects, that's including like the DRs and all of this stuff that are being built.
Again, that can be a request to DPW on the assessments.
Okay. Okay, so we go back to The short recess, Chair, just as I can ask a question, just to clarify. Like 2 seconds.
Short recess.
Yes, I'm sure.
We are back in our joint committee meeting, and Representative
Yeah, thank you,
Yumu, you
Chair.
still have the floor.
Just between the two scenarios, from 70 hours to 58 hours, assuming we are gonna go without the pension obligation or the pension loan, assuming both houses are not in agreement. Between 70 hours and 58 hours pay period, can we get I guess, a number that we need to identify? So if we were to stay at the current 70 hours, and when we don't get the pension loan, we will be at 58 hours. Is there a number? Is it over 5 million, 6 million
That we would need.
that we would need? Yes.
We would need 12.6 million.
So it's 12.
Or,
12
sorry, 12.8 million.
12.8 to maintain the current pay level, meaning at 70 hours. Where are we at right now? Are we 70 hours? Correct.
We're at 70 hours.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying we need additional 12.8 to cover the current staffing level of this, the central government.
Yes.
Okay. And that's not including the 29 million that we're gonna somehow,
In anticipation of the 29 million, or without the loan, that's what we need, 12.8 million,
right.
to
But-
be where we're at
Okay.
today.
So we officially got about $5.8 million in support from OIA. Is it OIA?
Yes.
So that helped out a little bit. We need another 5 million by December to pay retirement, correct? Roughly, almost 5 million. The map, I don't know what's the agreement. Every month we pay, or every week we pay 300,000 or something like that. So for this quarter, we need 5 point something million to pay the retirees.
I think earlier Representative Marisa mentioned that 4.3 million.
Is it 4.3?
Yes.
Okay, so 4.3, is there any way we can negotiate with MPLT and not, and assuming they don't agree to 29, is just to receive or to get that 4.3 so that we can, I guess, kick the can? I don't know if that's proper way of saying it, just to delay, or at least so we can get our finances in order for the second quarter and third.
So the 29 million, it can come in many different ways. It can be either one lump sum, it can be on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis. That way, if we had to handle it on a monthly basis, then the impact is only on that per month. Therefore, the difference of whatever that 29 million remains with the investment, right, with the corpus. And so we don't have to draw the entire 29 million. It could come in a quarterly basis or in a monthly basis.
So the last meeting with MPLT, it's either 29 million and the provision or nothing. Is that, I think that's what I got out of that meeting, that they don't want to even discuss with the Sina government with regards to some other type of, I guess, help.
So in prior meetings, and the chairman was present in that meeting, there was a discussion of either well, maybe it's something that we can consider just allocating it on a quarterly basis. Yeah, so I'm not sure why they're saying it's 29 million or not at all.
That's what, I'm not saying that they said it directly, but it sounded like it's either that or nothing. So that's what's concerning to us.
I think it's because that's what was proposed, right? To move forward so that we can include the entire 29 in the budget. So I guess because that's the package that's being considered
Right.
for the trustees.
Okay, so-
However, if we move forward with less than that, then that would entail a different discussion. But it has always been discussed that the 29 million could be broken down into quarterly disbursements or monthly disbursements, whatever the final funding instrument states. But we haven't even gotten there because we're just trying to authorize and move forward with how they're able to provide the 29 million. So there's still room for discussion if it's
Okay.
going to be less. However, that's not how the budget was provided or submitted by the governor. We're looking for the 29.
Okay, so maybe a question if, I didn't see Bermuda's here, but, so if we were to put a provision saying that the full faith and credit of the CNMI government to provide 29 million to the settlement fund, just so that we can satisfy the court and the retirement until we get some kind of grasp or a hold of how to be creative down the road. Is that even legal to I guess present to the district court? I'm not a lawyer. I can be a lawyer sometimes, but is that even possible?
The trustee will not agree to that full faith and credit. They rely on our cash transfers so that they don't have to draw down on their own corpus to pay their payroll to the retirees. So again, that has a different type of impact. If we were to just pass a law with the full faith and credit and not have any cash transfers to the settlement fund, I do not believe the trustee will accept that, and we will be in court.
Yes, I understand that.
yeah.
That's why we have to negotiate, because I was in that meeting with the trustee, I guess Ms. Tang, and she was very helpful in how to help the CNMI government. So I'm trying to, I guess, think out of the box with satisfying her request, meaning it's by law that the CNMI government is going to prioritize the 29 million when it comes available. We're not paying it up front, so we're paying it in quarters. I don't see the difference. We're just kind of, I guess, delaying just so that we can figure out what kind of help is coming in from the U.S.
I understand, Rep. Yumo, what you're trying to present is push it down to the end of the quarter. And that would mean we have to inform the settlement fund. They would have to draw from their corpus to start paying because they're not going to be receiving anything from us. However, the risk that I see in that situation is that come December and we still don't have a solution to this issue, we have to come up with that cash to pay by that week, or else we are in violation of the settlement agreement. So I would say, yes, that's one way to do it, but for us, it's very high risk considering the cash situation. If we were to divert the cash to something else according to the budget, to payroll or to some other priority in the first quarter, again, we're just trying to manage the risk of violating the settlement agreement. But
Yeah, I don't want to say we haven't violated anything yet, but okay. So like, for example, GLHI, is that funding that needs to be upfront too, or does it just have to be available? GLHI.
could you repeat the question?
GHLI. Does the fund have to be ready upfront, or it just have to be a provision that's saying that we will pay the $7.2 million, for example?
Monthly due.
Oh, it's monthly due.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess my last question, I'll ask it when we're in recess, as soon as everybody's done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Recognize Representative Roman Benavente.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Vicky, and everyone that's in here. I want to get back to the Director of Grants, Mr. Cabrera. I'd like to get back to the OGM because there is. I went out and then I came in here and then I finally heard what you folks were discussing with regards to the OGM, and I just like to share this. It really affects. It's true. I like to go back on the construction site, on the discussions of the construction projects and everything that's going around on the island. It does help, and it will help our people. But the only challenges that we have right now is the Secretary alluded earlier that we have shorthanded in the procurement area. And I was wondering if the grants office is able to try to pick up two, because right now there's only one individual that's doing all the adjustments as far as the request for projects, different projects. She's the one that's basically assessing everything and making recommendations and whatnot to DPW, and they practically need two more. Unfortunately, there was two that was announced in the past, but due to the situation of the budget shortfall, the FTE or the NOP were pulled back, and the announcement were pulled back, and then the funding for that specific individuals were taken away. So that's basically what happens, and that's why it's a challenge right now. But really, there are a lot of ongoing projects that could be done, and this one will more or less help our economy. Not now, because right now we are challenged with a dire need of fiscal capacity. But I'm talking about future down the line, months, couple of months, maybe a year or two, and we will see some fruitful income that will be coming in from this kind of projects. So that's why I just like to ask Mr. Cabrera if you'll be able to kind of more or less extend your right arm for assistance to get, if it's possible, your right arm for assistance for these two individuals so they can speed up the process of all these things. Since you handle also a lot of more of the projects that happens over here, so it will be, it will be good. I know the Secretary's hands are tied on that, but if you are willing to more or less assist, then that would be something. And that I don't need to talk much. I just want to air out some of these issues that are, that we have in front of our face, that we could, if we could work together and try to put 2 cents together so we can make this thing work, because it's a challenge. And our future generation will be suffering if we don't do anything right now. We gotta start doing something, and that's all. I didn't mean to. I would like to say this is not the assembly. The assembly in here is not what you call it. It's not an oversight hearing, but I like to share with you folks and identify whatever that we need to try to help each other so we can move forward with this. I know the dire situations of the fiscal capacity of the CNMI, but I'll let the others question all those. But I just like to more or less look for a solution for the future. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Roman Benavente. Madam Chair, Secretary, just going back on, just briefly on the revenue generating legislations that are before the legislature for action. I know that your office has helped also on the construction tax, but with regards to the transient accommodation tax, are there any concerns with regards to your department? I believe the Director of Revenue Tax offered concerns on the Senate hearing. Are you in liberty to express those concerns, and how do we accommodate those or address those concerns that you guys have?
Chairman, I would like for the director to answer that question. I know that they have worked directly with the House on that, with our legal counsel. So I know he's not here right now, but just please give me the opportunity to let him know about your request.
Okay, fair enough. So let me, before I yield to Chairman Jude, just go to OGM. Mr. Cabrera, what is your current budget for your office and its operation, your staff and your office?
Currently, it's about 945,000.
45K. That includes operation, right?
It
And including your
includes
staff?
also includes personnel and federal funded staffing.
Okay. And as of fiscal year 2025, how much in indirect costs have you received?
For FY 25, according to the reports from SOF, it's 785,000. Or is it 738?
And where were all those funding dedicated during
785, sir, thousand.
785K? And where were all these indirect costs focused at, or allocated, or how was it spent?
It went to the staffing and for projects identified by former Governor Palacios for donations and contributions, sir.
So everything is for donation and contributions?
No, salary also.
Salary of
The staff,
your staff?
yes.
So you're on top of what you budgeted yourself, you use again indirect costs to
It's together-
budget
together.
pay your staff.
Yes, it's together.
So how much in totality did you have spent on fiscal year? If you're saying that your budget is 945K and you were tapping on the 785K as well, how much in totality did you spend for your staff?
Can I get more time on that?
Let that be a official
Okay.
request for this joint committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and you to Chairman Jude Snyder.
Thank you, Chairman. How's everyone doing so far? So, I wanna, just for consistency, Secretary and Ms. Special Assistant to OMB, I always go back to the settlement section 8.1. This was rendered back since we did the settlement and based on the audit from 2022. The section 8.1 of the settlement assigns the CNMI the rights to collect deficient employer contributions and related costs as of August 6, 2013 from autonomous agencies. At September 30, 2022, the CNMI has not determined the amount of receivables from autonomous agencies. Can you just for maybe to refresh our conversation with regards to this particular authority that was given to the executive branch? Are these funded? When you say autonomous agencies, include PSS, CHC, CUC, and Gaming Commission, no? How did this, what is this asking for you or authorizing you or the executive branch to collect? What are they referencing?
So this was the remittance to the retirement fund for employer contributions that was part of the reason why the retirement fund collapsed. Right? It wasn't just the central government that was not remitting to the retirement fund, it's also component units. So again, now that with the settlement fund, and all those assets have been transferred to the settlement fund, the CNMI is still authorized to collect on those receivables from the component units or autonomous agencies. But again, going back to my statements earlier this morning, because of the current economic condition, it has not been something that we have been going after, because we understand the other
Sure.
component units are also struggling financially, CUC, CPA, PSS. And so it's there, it continues to be a receivable.
Is it compounding, Secretary? Or is it just blocked from 2013 forward since?
I don't believe it's compounding.
So
It's just a receivable
it's a finite number, no? Do you have a figure?
at that point in time. I will make the request to our program director.
You know, the reason why I asked that, because I think sometimes we forget, no? Especially the agencies that are requesting, they call out the executive branch or the legislature basically of the need for funds, but sometimes they turn the other way and they forget that they also have an obligation to pay back to the general fund. So I ask this question so that this is something that, and I don't think your office would like to just collect the entirety of $50 million, no. But if we can start collecting back little by little, that would definitely, similar to what the administration did with CUC, with the OPA, and all that. So it's almost like the same concept. I call that because I think it's important that we register this as an obligation from these entities. Some of these entities have come before the legislature and we help them. We help them to manage their finances here. And we bless it without any reservation. So, it works both ways too, no? For all of us. We just need to help each other. I know that there's other members that still have questions, but I think it's fair to ask this. Do we have information as to how much of the entities that are, the FTEs that are being authorized under the general fund that are partially or cost share with some other federal funds and general fund? Or is it just it has to be a nexus for that FTE in order for that to qualify for that? Can someone answer that? Because I believe that a lot of the entities we're only looking at the general fund, but some employees are also being funded partially, cost sharing.
We have a report of the total FTEs, that 1,984 employees that are currently in the budget. We have a report that reflects the percentage for each of the employees. So we can share that with the committee.
Okay, can you just, if we can get that information as soon as practical, no? That's one. Also, maybe for the purpose of, just for information, Mr. Cabrera, when you say 975, is that the number that you have for FY 2025? That's representation of the 35%?
According According to the Secretary of Finance figures, that's what it's reporting that was provided to OGEM. However, you have to remember there's a rollover rate over the last year to allow for more funds to. There's no sunset to the grant to the office budget.
Okay.
It was built like that.
So do you happen to have like detailed information as to which entity did you assist? Because I know that you get called in any.
In terms of contributions, sir,
Yeah, like for example, if,
okay, I can recall from the top of my head several.
but do you want to put it in writing so we can
Okay,
not forget?
I did provide that to your office a while back,
Okay, but
but I can reiterate some of them.
I mean for the
record?
Chairman Sablon's, you would also wish to have that.
For the record, we provided $100,000 to NBA for the Taste of Marianas. We provided $50,000 to the games that went to Palau. We provided $50,000 to the Liberation Day Committee. For the record, we provided, if I'm not wrong, maybe $80,000 to the recycling contribution. We provided $10,000 to the Ag Fair. We provided, if I'm not wrong, to Tinian, maybe $15,000 or $10,000 to a fishing event.
Mr. Cabrera,
Those are all contributions, sir.
and I appreciate that you're trying to drum up, but can you just submit it?
Yes,
So-
sir, I will
no.
submit it
So you
again.
don't have, we can move forward from that.
Okay, thank you.
Have you assisted any for utility payments? Any entity in the government?
I believe we help with Veterans Affairs and Division of Energy. Small payments.
Okay, because you're dealing with substantial, and I'm sure that there's a lot of services that you've done. We appreciate that. It's just trying to connect it so that if we're cutting general fund, we certainly appreciate outside source
Yes,
help.
sir.
So I'll recognize any member of the Senate if they wish to ask. I'll yield for now. Thank you, Mr. Cabrera and the Secretary and Ms. V. Senator Cruz, recognize.
Thank you, Chairman. And Secretary, in line to Representative Lavisha in regards to the NIA grant. According to the reliable source in 2023, 158,000, 2024, 321, 2025, 376. You mentioned earlier in regards to procurement regulation. And all these three years of the set amount is going to expire on September 30 of next year. So if there's any way that we can, because if we keep on saying they have to follow regulation and we're not helping our people, the recipient to avail to this, we're just gonna sit back and wait till these funds to be taken away. Is there any way that your department and community cultural affairs be helping these people how to go about with this because, and not only that, I noticed that there's nothing from Tinian and Road that do any sort of, who's coordinating this? Why the two senatorial districts don't know anything about this?
Thank you, Senator Cruz. I'm not sure about the grant application and who was included as a recipient. But as far as what can finance do to help them spend their money is to help them spend it the right way so that we don't have to pay it back or have a question cost in the audit. That's the best that we can do, is to inform them of the right way to spend it, the procurement, because these are federal funds and they have a requirement to follow the procurement regulation. If they're not able to follow that, then they cannot spend it. So we've made it simpler for them to understand whether a PO can be used or whether a subrecipient agreement can be used, but it's not our place to tell the grant manager how to run their program, just how to follow the regulation. So I believe what we've provided them is already simplified. and now it's a matter of carrying it out. So again, I place the responsibility on the program manager to make sure that all the supporting documents are there, making sure they have the grant award signed by the artist. All of those things have to be in place before we can make a payment. So we're always available to help them understand what to do next, how to upload it to Munis, whether they need access to enter into Munis. And I believe that has been done. So right now, it's a matter of the program going back and forth with the artists, having them sign their agreements, or whether they're going to be a contractor. I'll pass it on to Epi on the grant application for Tinian and Rhoda. I'm not sure about that.
I appreciate because we passed the grant management office to be taking care of other department other than autonomous agency, right? So I'm hoping that Tinian and Rhoda don't have to be the one applying for the grant. It has to be one application for all the territorial district, right? Epi?
Sir, if I may, we did speak to Gloriana a few months ago regarding the NEA grant and the expiration. And I believe they got an extension right up to 2026. However, you're right, there is about 800,000 that was going to be left on the table. So we did call her into our office, and she actually sat down and approved some of the payments or in Munis to pay the artists on Rhoda. I know some of the artists that received it on Rhoda, but I'm not too sure about Tinian. So after that, we lost communication with Gloriana because I assume that she's already on it. So I can do a follow-up with her to see if she needs help and to get those artists paid, because I know a lot of them are still waiting for payment. The SOF is right. In my opinion, the sub-recipient method is probably the easiest for the artist to get paid. So we need to get the director, if Ms. Gloriana, to buy into the sub-recipient method, then the artist can get paid on timely and faster.
I appreciate that. I think we should not, just wait and see whether they're gonna do it, no? Because we're gonna lose this opportunity. Because I'm wondering what we have left over in 2023, 158. That means we're not spending them, and I'm very concerned about this. Sooner or later, federal, the grantor, if they see the 3 consecutive years that we're still sitting down, I don't think we can be able to, even if they request for 2027, maybe they won't be able to get, because they said, Lani, you guys didn't really need those because you guys are not spending it. But I know that it is your responsibility, the artists, but let's help them.
Sir, you're right. The Arts Council did lose the grant, their grant in I don't want to say 2012, but they did lose it for like 5-year period. That left a lot of artists without any potential extra funding, and it took the government 5 years to get back that credibility.
So we're not gonna go to that again, right?
We'll talk to the management of the Arts Council again to try and see if they can push things faster.
Because we're having problem. We're requesting for federal grant, federal aid, federal assistance because of our revenue no problem, right? And they're seeing these things, they're gonna say, even the one that we're giving you grant, you're not gonna pay us back. We're not spending them. So how can they continue to assist us if they're seeing all these other areas that we're not spending? I think it will be a very slim chances of getting more assistance. I think we need to be helping one another to help them. Because some of our people, they really want to avail to this, but probably some of them, they don't know how to go about, or how to go with whatever the procurement regulation is and what they're lacking. They need us to help them to go through all this. And I'm not saying just give it to them, not follow criteria or guidelines, but let's guide them to the point that they will receive this, because there's a lot of talented people here, and they can avail to this. Okay, and I appreciate that. If we try to help them. I think us as government, working for the government, it's our job to to help our people out there, because without them, we won't be getting any tax money to receive our salary too, right? So let's continue to, to do some kind of a outreach program to help these people avail to this opportunity. Yes,
Just to share, they recently received 93,000 from that same grant, and they dispersed it already yesterday. So I'm not sure how many of those artists got their payments.
I appreciate it. And I always say this: no island or sanitary district should be left behind. Right, AP? Even though the distribution is not the same, right? But at least they can try some of the, not the crumbs, but try some of the piece of the pie. I appreciate, let's work together. And Secretary, in regards to the, because I'm seeing the second removal on almost half of the hotel occupancy tax. I know this is the people that are checking in any hotels, right? The hot tax. This is based on tourist arrival. And what airline are we talking about here? Is it just Jeju or including United?
What we are basing the projection on, is that your question? For FY26? Yes, so for the hotel occupancy tax?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the Q4 report for FY25, we use that as our basis. And the hotel occupancy tax was forecasted for 5.5. However, we only collected 4.6. So that was a decrease of 16%. We use that 4.6 as our basis for FY26 because that's our latest accurate data that we have. And then from there, we did the 3.5% decline because of the anticipated further fall in tourist arrivals and occupancy.
3.4%
3.5.
decrease?
3.5% decline.
I thought the submission, the 2026 estimate proposal was $8.some million.
Yes, sir, that
And then
was
you
on April
reduced by
1st.
4 million?
Yes.
That's
so-
correct, right?
Mhm.
So it's almost 50%.
Yes.
So is this Jeju and United customers? Because of course this is customers that's coming
Yes,
in.
there was multiple suspensions that MVA had announced, right, with the night flight from Jeju and then T-Way. Yeah, those are the two.
T-Way?
T-Way, the airline.
Is that coming from where?
I think that's Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that, I don't know whether you guys discussed with MBA, but there is a twice a week flight from Hong Kong. Is that part of the projection that for 2026? Because that one is is coming anytime soon, right?
Mhm.
Twice a week.
Those are chartered.
Yes, charter flight twice a
Charter
week. So
flights,
is
yes.
is that part of the projection in here?
So, the basis that we have is the 2025, right, collection.
So you didn't include that?
So the assumption in 2025 was that T-Way was operating.
Okay.
So now that T-Way is going to suspend flights, and now Hong Kong is operating, it basically just takes over the
So
T-Way
two ways, twice a week
performance.
as well?
I'm not sure on the exact
Because if it's not
flight
twice
schedule.
a week, and then it will be a different figure,
Yeah.
right?
So there's one thing, the tourist arrivals. The second is the hotel occupancy. And so you can see what Hanmi had reported, a 14% occupancy rate. Those are factors that we take into consideration as well, that we cannot increase the forecast for hotel occupancy while we see the indicators declining. And that's why this revision is necessary, because in the original April submission of 8 million, that was over optimistic based on MVA's budget submission, and since then they have revised their forecast. And then now that we have the Q4 actual collection on the performance, again, that's another information or data that we use.
Okay, so any
But Senator,
of,
if it does improve and it warrants a revised budget again, we would consider that.
so what kind of strategy at the airport that your staff are doing in regards to tourist arrival? because I know that some tourists that come here, but they go to like B&B, no? And those are not, they're not paying 15%, right? Any information in regards to, because we're trying to come up with that transit bill, no? To change it, the hotel to transit. Because I know some of the apartment here, they translate into hotel, so what they call that one is apartment, right? So they have to enforce the 15% hotel occupancy for apartment. Because some areas are, like I said, they buy a license for apartment, but they translate it into short-term hotel. Are you guys enforcing that, the apartment? No?
If it falls within the definition of what is imposed on the hotel occupancy tax, then yes, they should be paying the 15%.
So if they come in and they pay license for apartment, and then they translate into hotel, do you have any enforcement in monitoring those? Because I know some here that
Yes.
are using that as a short time, because if it's a short time, that's not apartment.
Yes, we do have our enforcement branch that looks into that, where the applicant applies as a house rental, but it's really Airbnb. Our enforcement has been looking into that, and they've
Because I mentioned our meeting in the Senate chamber in regards to that collaboration with other agencies, like for example, Public Works for building safety, DPS for fire safety. So if we're working together, and if they do an inspection and it looks like an apartment, then it's an apartment. But if it looks like an hotel, then I think they should report it to you guys and investigate whether these guys are trying to get away with the 15% tax. We need to be investigating all this, because if that's why we're losing a lot of money, because I'm sorry, but we're lenient. We're lenient in just allowing them to go ahead and do whatever they want. But it's not fair for the other. For example, the Hami, they're complaining already about this, because some freelancer agency, they're just book them online, right? And they come here and then they straight to their B&B dwelling. And for me, it's not safe for the customer, because I've seen a lot, many times, that are walking and crossing the traffic light in Garapan. And I know that cannot be going west, because the hotels are on the west side. So it gotta be somewhere there in the east side. Maybe next to the I think there's an apartment next to the traffic light behind that new video store that it's a parking lot, but it was built into, they said apartment, but some tourists are coming out from there. So it cannot be an apartment, it has to be an apartment.
Yes, Senator, you said we need to be looking at this. Our enforcement has been looking into this for the past 3 years. In fact, I believe, was that 2022 when we did the Airbnb operation? Yeah, so it was like, we've been really looking into this since 2022.
Okay. I appreciate that. We have to continue to, even though we sound like broken record, but as long as we continue to help one another, because the reason why I'm saying this, because I feel so bad if I hear, knowing that our people is going to be, the hours going to be reduced, and each one of us don't know their financial situation, and most especially those that are just probably loan for housing loan or car loan. I don't know what's going to happen to them. At the end of the day, believe me, they're not going to blame on you guys. 100% they're going to blame on us, because we're the final that going to approve the whatever revise we're going to do here. That's why I continue to to mention this, that let's try and help one another here, and if we have to, if you need our help to legislate for penalty. I mentioned earlier, no, Secretary, about not shutting down business, but rather see if you guys are allowed to promulgate regulation to penalize them by money and then not by shutting down. And you mentioned earlier about telling Public Works to hold the project until they pay I think we should not hold project. Project should continue to move, but penalize them. If they don't pay, penalize them. There's another way to penalize them if they receive for example, the bid, right? Put in the bid, tell them to put in the bidding process that if you don't pay tax, then you're gonna be penalized. Your project is gonna continue, but you're gonna be penalized. Rather than holding back the project, because if they hold back, how can they finish the
At the
project?
end of the project, the occupancy permit is now you can occupy the building.
Okay.
So at the end of the project, they have to, just like on final payment for construction contracts, they are required to provide a tax clearance to
Okay.
ensure that they are
So,
compliant, no?
so I think it
same-
should be in that provision of the
same
final
concept.
payment. Otherwise, you're gonna get sued if nothing in that. No.
No,
That
the
agreement?
standard contract terms and conditions require that the vendor comply with all CNMI laws. That includes tax laws. So that's our enforcement method, no? So, yes, Connie's part of that for holding back final payment, but we can loop in DPW not issuing an occupancy permit if they are not compliant with all CNMI laws.
Okay, now in regards to back to the construction tax, why is it on category construction tax is stated infrastructure tax? I think we should not mix the infrastructure developers tax with, I think the one supposed to be, if it's construction tax, is construction material tax, right? If we're putting infrastructure, we're mixing it together and this is a different source. Right? Under category, it shouldn't be infrastructure tax because I think this is construction material, right? Tax?
No, the construction tax is
Because it cannot be
for
infrastructure because infrastructure is a
revenue.
different
Yeah.
source.
Yes, we can take that change to the heading, just to make it more clear on the
No, but
revenue.
we're like commingling in the
But we are
two.
not commingling because
So what's the meaning of infrastructure?
the developer's infrastructure tax only refers to line 17.
Yes.
Developer's infrastructure tax.
Yes, but we're
Line-
putting again infrastructure on construction tax.
It might just say that there, developer's infrastructure tax, but it really only refers to line 17.
That's why I'm not comfortable
Yeah.
of this because developers tax and infrastructure, there's a law that the senator, any development in that senator will be the local delegation to appropriate that.
No,
That's
this is only Commonwealth tax.
So that's 2%, right?
The developer's infrastructure tax,
Yes.
yes, and then.
So
the-
that's what I'm saying, if we're putting infrastructure on that construction tax, I don't want you guys to be mixing this together and then instead of putting it on one category, you mixing it and then you might be reducing the developer's infrastructure tax. So can you please correct this one? Because if I'm gonna have $10, you're gonna get 5 because you took the other 5 and put it in the,
It's just a presentation,
Oh, okay.
but he's more concerned on.
thank you, are you?
Yes,
It's okay.
anyway, that's fine.
The construction tax, right? Anything that's coming in.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, that's correct.
That coming in is not infrastructure.
No, that's why I'm clarifying for you today.
Yeah.
That the subheader that says developers infrastructure tax only refers to line 17. Okay?
Yes.
Then line 18 is the Commonwealth construction tax, which is at 500,000.
Yes.
These are not commingling taxes. They have two
But
separate statutory
I understand.
requirements.
But when you're
Okay.
putting the word infrastructure in it,
Oh, it just says construction
no,
tax.
but it need to be removed down because I don't,
It doesn't say construction infrastructure.
maybe you guys
tax.
are very versed in that part, but when you have staff coming in and they
Yeah.
assign
I
them
just want to
to,
correct it for the record and clarify for the record. If you refer to attachment B of the FY 2026 revised revenue forecast, line 17 is the developer's infrastructure tax. The header is above that says developer's infrastructure tax. Line 18 is the construction tax that refers to the Commonwealth construction tax. And we will work on the presentation to make it clearer.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you, Mr. Chairman? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. And since on my follow-up question, since the director is here, before I recognize the leader, Director of Revenue and Tax, I posed the question on what is the concern of Department of Finance or its divisions on the transient accommodation tax, and what are the areas of addressing it if there is concern from your division. And the reason why I'm asking this question, because the communication of the administration is asking the legislature to work on three revenue generating legislation, and the transient accommodation tax is one of them, and to include the construction tax and the potential amendments on the casino law. So the question is about transient accommodation tax. What are the concerns of your division? And are there any corrective measures that we can address your concerns so that we can move forward with this request from the administration?
I have two. There are several concerns I have, but the two main concerns that I have, Chairman, are the one is our ability to collect the taxes that will be remitted by the global corporations like Airbnb, and also the fact that the way it's written is very strict in mandating that these online services collect and remit taxes to DRT. In my research with other U.S. jurisdictions, there's no jurisdiction that I've seen that mandates these websites to collect and remit. And how our law is written, or the way it's drafted, is that it's going to mandate them. So I'm just questioning our authority to force them to do that instead of having them voluntarily do it.
But if it's provided by law, and the law gives you that authority, aren't you comfortable with that, given that authority to you?
It's our ability to enforce it. They could just not even work in the CNMI and not post any rental availability on the website at all. They can just choose not to work with the CNMI.
But you do have enforcement section in your division that can have the authority to visit these establishments, right? And find out if they are conducting rentals as Airbnb to our tourism. I mean, the goal here with the transient accommodation tax is to kind of give the division of revenue tax the ability to collect, because apparently we are seeing a lot of tourism that are staying on our hotels and are going to Airbnbs, and perhaps it's much cheaper because we're not imposing those tax on these individuals or business establishment. So is there a way that we can work with your division in trying to move forward? Because this is one of the requests of the administration that the legislature take a look at and move forward with. So that's one of your concerns. You say you have several. Is there other? So that, because right now the legislation is before the legislature already, and we're taking steps to accommodate that proposed legislation.
Chairman, I can submit all my comments that I had made during the hearing with the Senate. And
so let that be an official request by this joint committee. Leader Royada, recognize.
Thank you, Chairman. I actually was gonna go back to that question because Director Alvarez was here. Also, to add to that, the collection is also optional. They can actually register on a platform and let the body actually collect and remit the tax, or they have the option to actually the business owner to actually remit the tax themselves. So I think the only way that this is going to move forward is that we give it a shot, and then as we do, this bill that I introduced actually was introduced by the late Ivan Blanco, and then Angel de Mapan, Rep. Julie, than myself. It went through all the necessary stakeholders. At that time, there was a lot of concerns that we addressed on the bill. I feel like this bill is actually, fitting for this the time that we're in. So just like with Chairman JP here, we want to work with your office to simplify the process, make it better for your agency not to be burdened so much. But I think working together to get this bill, to the governor's desk so that we can then realize some lost revenue that, data showed that, we don't capture, that we're leaving on the table. So thank you, Chairman. You've already posed that question.
Thank you, Leader. Are there any questions from members of the Ways and Means? Further questions? Let me yield to Chairman Jude Hoff-Snyder.
Thank you, Chairman JP, and just kind of the same line of question, Director Alvarez. I do know that this is before the Fiscal Affairs, and some of the provisions. I'm kind of just tracking the discussion earlier. So there are some suggestions that that needs to improve the bill, the legislation. That's correct.
I wouldn't say improve the bill, but for, as the Director of Revenue Tax, I'm just looking at it as how am I going to administer this, and that's where I see the difficulties in how am I going to collect the taxes from these websites? How am I going to enforce the mandatory collection and remittance on these websites?
All right, so that's one, I recall that. And also there was a conversation that was raised, that was, discussed with, I believe, MVA about potentially looking at entry fee because when we use the those customs forms, if you're a visitor or you're a returning resident, and there's a subsequent question as to where you're going to stay, correct? Which hotel, or if you're a FIT, if you're a fit traveler or independent traveler and all that. So I think we're inching towards really narrowing down on how to gauge these folks, and we will continue to ask the best methodology how to pin down on those tracking these folks, the ones that are staying at the B&Bs, and to also address some of your concerns. So please continue. I would like to continue discussion this matter, and I want to make sure that we are ready to push forward with the legislation to try and reap the benefit from it. So I respectfully ask that you continue working with the Fiscal Affairs, as that bill is actually before the committee. I'll be notifying you if there's such meeting or comments that's needed, to officially submit.
Yes.
Okay.
I will.
Thank you. And Secretary, can taxpayers file online and pay their taxes online?
Yes, they can.
All of them?
For specific taxes, right? For
Like what?
BGR.
BGR.
I
So
think.
when do they need to go up and line up?
We're always available during government hours, right?
No, but like when do I go up to pay? Why do I still line up? I'm just using me as a third person.
I think they
Yeah.
choose to line up if they
Really?
don't want to pay online. Many businesses hire a tax preparer who does multiple accounts for multiple taxpayers, and part of their service is to make the payment on their behalf, and they go and they line up. They have an option to pay online, but again, it's a
What's
choice.
what's the link? What's the link?
Oh, it's on our DOF website, but it is LocalGov. The platform is called LocalGov.
So it's pretty steady, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because that the reason why I asked that, because if not, then I was going to ask that, can we keep the payment office open for 7 days and just do staggered hours, so that businesses that are unable to personally go there can actually go there on Saturday or Sunday, at least half day, no? Because I'm a believer that if it's a collection point, hey, open 7 days a week, so we can collect, right? But if there's no need for that, then I'll retract my suggestion. What do you think?
We can consider that staggered schedule. Again, it is difficult
Yeah.
with a 70-hour austerity. We do have to audit and close every day,
Sure.
so we need an availability of an in-house auditor to be on schedule to close the books. And then we do need the deposit by G4S. We don't like holding cash in our building, and so there's a lot more to it than just changing a schedule. We have armed pickup services, and again, that's not scheduled for the weekend. So we will consider it though.
Yeah, maybe that collection can make it 80 hours. Ne? So, anyhow, Mr. Chairman, I think we're flushed out for this particular meeting today, and yeah, I'll yield back to you. Thank you, Secretary.
Yeah, maybe just on the line of question of Chairman Jude, I mean, we all know that Custom has its own cashier there, and they have the ability to collect. If you guys are able to work with Customs, since they're 24/7, they just head to the airport and make payments. If the concern here is to keep collecting, right? 7 days, 24/7. Utilize the cashiers there in Customs. They're there open, and they if they have the ability to collect any collection. Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Connie.
They have a different system. They're still on the old system. So, and
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just
Tyler is, okay.
I'm just
all right.
saying that if our goal is to beef up our collection ability, let's link collections to Customs since they're open 24/7. If the goal is to collect, pick up the capacity of collecting revenues, right? And giving that opportunity to any businesses to make payments. And that can also go to your concerns also, Director Alvarez. One way is you can link to Customs also with regards to trying to track tourism, because part of the Customs form, you are obligated to insert what hotel or Airbnb are you going to be staying in the Commonwealth. So that's a way for you to link up with Customs to achieve the goal of the transient accommodation tax. Are there any other further questions from the members? If there is no more further questions, the chair would like to extend my appreciation to you, Secretary of Finance, OMB, Ms. V, Mr. Epic Cabrera. I know that there are several official requests that we have requested on this joint committee. We will be awaiting those requests that we have officially asked. And with that, I yield to Chairman Jude to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman JP. Couldn't say any better than what Chairman JP has said. Thank you for sticking with the meeting this afternoon. I know it's a long day, and there's a lot of very important questions that requires response from all your agencies. I do want to thank the other members of the public or entities that are here and are sitting quietly in the gallery. Thank you for being here. People that are watching this meeting today, and also our hardworking staff for assisting us through and through. So with that, Mr. Chair, and of course the members, thank you for your participation today.
Thank you, Chair. And so let me ask before we even decide either to adjourn or go on a recess, members, PSS have reached out to my office asking for an audience. We have scheduled that for tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Is that something you guys want to go official on it and go live? We can do recess. If not, we can do it informally and just adjourn this joint committee meeting. What are your thoughts? Short recess. We are now back on our joint committee meeting, and before that session, again, the chair wanted to thank OGM, SOF, and OMB for coming before this joint committee meeting, and we thank also the members of the public who are here and also our Bureau staff. So with that, with no further questions, this joint committee meeting is now adjourned.